Hello everybody and welcome back to another video. It's me, Golding, and today we're doing a bit of a sketchbook tour. Well, I do have a sketchbook here, and it's got a lot of drawings in it. I thought I'd go through some of my oldest dragon drawings, and they're actually not that old, because I have an older one that I've drawn, and I will show you guys in a second. But these are actually a lot of OCs. Lots of OCs that I've done because I do not like to use the same names as the characters in the book because that makes me feel obligated to call them that and make sure they're accurate. Also, if you guys, my voice sounds a bit weird today, allergies, so I'm a little bit congested, but we're doing pretty well. Anyways, I'll start off with this very old sketch. It's not really a sketch, it's more of a drawing of Lady Jewel. I do not remember how old I was when I drew this, but when I looked at it today, I was basically crying. I have never ever seen anything more 2D that I've ever drawn in my life, but I feel like this is what I used to draw a lot, is I grew up drawing princesses and dresses. I'm gonna admit that. I drew like that a lot. But this is just one of those that I did a lot of, and this took me a while, actually. But I will say that I think my favorite part is the face. It looks the most accurate. Honestly, by accurate, I mean how the covers in the books look, so that is what I call accurate. So that was Lady Jewel for me. Now we're gonna move on to the many OCs that are in this. I actually wrote the number. I had one that I never finished. 55 basically. So 55 OCs that I've drawn. That don't count some of the ones that I've redrawn. So honestly, it's a little bit less than that. But first one, I was home at a swim meet, and it was because I was sick. And I decided that I was going to draw a dragon for the first time that looked this good. I thought it looked amazing at the time. Looking back on it now, there are some absolute things that I wish I had not done at the beginning of this. Specifically, the toes. They do not look good. I have since then converted from drawing toes, but most of these have toes, so I don't think I've ever drawn them without toes until I started drawing digitally, and then I finally brought myself to drawing without toes. But that was the first one, Balsam the Leafwing. She's very artsy. Then I had Jackal. You cannot tell very well what this is, and honestly, I can't really either. But she was a Sandwing Nightwing hybrid, and my idea was kind of that she was in the Scorpion Den. Do not look at the scars on her leg. They get better as I get more into this, but she's got green glowing eyes. That's fun. Then there is Princess Sparrow being defended by Admiral Cyclone. I don't even know if I spelled that right, but first time drawing fire coming out of a dragon's mouth. That was fun. And the armor was very fun to draw. Positioning on her part is not that good. Sorry for the table. This table is not very sturdy. I made it myself, so. Anyways, Iceberg was fun to draw. Her proportioning is very off, and that looks like a chicken leg, but she was actually one of the ones that I was the most satisfied with, and personally, her tail looks pretty good. The rest of her, I think I went a little bit overboard on the neck spikes. Then we have Seagrass. Seagrass I have always really enjoyed looking at because I feel like I did a good job. Very meticulously drew those. The shade could have been better. I don't really think that was the right color for her, but I did like doing that. Princess Sparrow. She's one of my OCs. One of my favorite OCs, really. Princess. And I drew a comic for her. I don't remember where that went, but most of my comics were drawn while listening to books, so I don't know where those went. But I specifically liked drawing the tail feather design for that. That was really fun, and the flowy fabric. But yeah, she's a Scotland princess that I did. So this is a bit confusing, because at first I named her Rose, then I named her Peru, and then the sloth was Rose. But I really enjoyed drawing her, and I feel like her colors look really nice. I just felt like she needed to be named Peru. So that's why she's named Peru. And then we have Gorilla. He was actually really fun. I had kind of a fun backstory for him that I kind of had thought of while I was drawing him. And he's got a lot of scars on him, but it was kind of just like he's this hybrid that was born during the war, so obviously hybrids weren't really thought of as acceptable, so he was kind of shunned from society. That was fun. And then Mayflower was really fun to draw, and a lot of these I would draw at while my family and I were like watching a show together. We like to do that, but this is Mayflower, the Silkwing. Then Permafrost and Igloo. Permafrost and Igloo are really interesting. They're both Mudwing, Icewing siblings. I actually had written a backstory for them and erased it. Probably because I didn't think it was very good. I don't even fully remember what I'd written when I did that. But anyway, their story is kind of that Igloo was born with a deformity in his wings, as can be seen. And so he really likes to jump off of things. So Permafrost is kind of the caring older sister that has to constantly watch over her brother. Also, another thing I'm realizing as I'm looking at this is that I didn't draw them with eyebrows. Because for some reason, I was very against drawing with eyebrows. And I just would draw their eyes. So I kind of wish I hadn't done that. Princess Moonbow in Jade the Sloth. Princess Moonbow was my child for Glory and Deathbringer. So you can see I've always shipped Glory and Deathbringer. But anyway, this is their child. Very, very pretty. I really like the rainbow that I did there. That was really cute. Diamondback is an assassin. First assassin that I've drawn. That was actually supposed to be a injury from Icewing Frostbreath. That was my take on that. And then very, very many scars. As you can see, I've been getting better at scars by that. And she has the discs, actually, that Deathbringer has. And then Azure, the Seawing. I liked drawing him. He was fun. It was a bit different positioning. I think his arm should have been in a bit more. Obviously, they're not positioned. They're proportion. None of these have very good proportion. I was all freehanding these. Princess Sparrow again. And, yeah, she fell in love with an Icewing. I forget what his backstory was. I think he was like a diplomat's son. But they met, and she, I believe, ends up running off with him or something. I don't know. It was a not very thought out thing. Dragonfly, another one of my favorite OCs, specifically because of this picture. I had Prisma colored pencils. This is what I was using them for. Good year out of my life I was doing this. And she's one of my favorites. I feel like I was finally getting some of the proportioning down. And while it doesn't, like, some of it's not perfect, I really love her. And I actually gave her like a lot of turquoise jewelry, which was really fun. And I tried to draw some flame silk there, but that was really fun for me to draw. And I drew her again later. Star Chaser was a fun one to draw. I specifically like drawing that star. A lot of the I didn't draw a lot of Nightwings specifically because they didn't look good with the black colored pencils, because they didn't, I don't know, they just didn't ever look good for me. And then I drew the Jade Winglet. Not really the Jade Winglet, it was just kind of a Jade Winglet. But that was very fun, and it actually includes the Pantolin tribes. So that was really fun, and I actually ended up drawing both of these characters again. But it was just kind of a very interesting one for me to draw with so many subjects in it. It was fun. And then Morpho was really fun to draw. I just really loved her facial expression and her colors. Like, they just turned out really well for me. Her proportioning is off again, but her wings, you can't really tell, but they actually look pretty good. Orange, I love orange. Orange looks amazing, sort of. Not very well proportioned. I tried drawing a line down the belly. I don't really like that anymore, but again, the way I'm drawing wings now is so much different than when I used to draw them. But I really like what I did with the name. And then Say is another one of my favorites. He's a sea Icewing hybrid, and I actually really liked, I wasn't sure what I was going to call him, so I ended up Googling things and settled on Say, and I'm pretty sure it's like a type of whale in like the colder water, so that was fun. And then Eucus and Fennec, they were a couple that I drew, and they were actually, it was like the first relationship dynamic that was actually like very good relationship, good healthy relationship. It wasn't like they're both from the same tribe, nobody's got any opposition for them, they have matching arm sleeve things. It was just like they're very cutesy couple. And then I had Grapevine, and a full background takes away from the dragon a bit, but it was very fun for me to draw, especially the shading on the trees. I really like how those looked. You can ignore that part because that does not look good, but I am pretty satisfied. You can hardly see the monkey there, but it's the first Rainwing that I drew reading, so that was fun. Okay, Maribel, not to be confused with Disney's Encanto Maribel. This was actually inspired more by Jane Austen, as you might be able to tell by the bonnet. But she's a leafwing that loves reading romance. So I've read a couple Jane Austen books, Sense and Sensibility and Pride and Prejudice. I love them both. Papaya, the Rainwing. I really love Papaya, and even though I don't really eat papaya, I really want to eat papaya and I want to like papaya. So I drew a Rainwing like that. And I really like the neon that I did for the design. Monsoon was a sand seawing, and I actually realized later as I was going through these that I have another OC sand dollar that actually looks an awful lot like him. It is a seawing sandwing, and I don't know, he wasn't inspired by that, but he is kind of a interesting character. Okay, Flora is again another one of my favorites, a lot because of her coloring, but a lot because of her character too. She's like a very caring dragon, and I think helps more in the royal gardens. So she's kind of almost like a consort for Queen Glory, so she sort of does stuff for her, but she's kind of a background character that I did. And then Harlequin. Harlequin I was drawing because I wanted to draw armor again. And honestly, it didn't turn out too bad. I actually got better at using like shading for that. Again, her wings do not look good whatsoever, but it wasn't too bad. And then another couple that's actually both, they're not a hybrid couple. I do a lot of hybrid couples. But Octina and Blue, they were fun to draw, and I really like Octina's look. And then I did a whole sibling group of Mudwings, and they were kind of fun. They were fun to draw because they actually all have a band on their horns, kind of symbolizing their group, but all the girls have it on a specific horn, and all the boys have it on a specific horn. And that was a little bit of a fun little thing that I put in there. And he's actually a medic, so they all kind of like do their own thing throughout the day, and he's a medic. Mind opener. The least blitzed up I did. There's hardly anything on her, like an earring and 2 armbands. But she was kind of a black character for me. I didn't really like how she turned out. Water Lily, however, I really liked how Water Lily turned out. She spoke to me, honestly. I really love how she looks with the pink and the green and the everything about her. I really like her. Aside from proportioning, everything's really good with her. Then we have Flax, and his sister, actually, Bluebell, was in the Jade Winglet, and he's like almost gonna get his wings, but yeah, that was fun. And these two, Lupin and Iceberg. Iceberg from the beginning, I redrew her, and this is another couple, and this is Lupin is a Rainwing, and they both met at Jade Mountain Academy, and they fell in love, I guess. And then I drew Lupin again because I felt like I needed to have one of just him, and he's very artsy, likes to paint. I really love how I did his name. Grasshopper and Dragonfly. Dragonfly's back again, and they're studying. Yes, they are another couple. Of course, I did back-to-back couple pictures. But I really liked drawing the Hive-Wing wings because, for reasons unknown, they just turned out a lot better, and I really love Dragonfly's jewelry. They just look really pretty. This is an earlier character design that I had done for myself. I did not have a lot. I did have a good plan going into this. This is how I wanted to look. I look so much different now, though. It's just like, I don't know. I wanted more of like a furry feel for it, and I ended up doing something a bit different for this, but it was just like crazy. This one is Red. He was very interesting. I was inspired by a maple leaf for him, and actually he also has leaf speak, so he was kind of an interesting character. He's kind of very rough upbringing. So that was that. And then Hurricane is inspired by this is Ripnami. So Tsunami and Riptide's child. Of course, I had to name her something scary to go with the common theme of that family. And so she's got the pearls and an earring and some scarring, but I think she turned out pretty well. I really liked how she looked, and also her backstory, of course. Cormorant, I don't know if I said that right. It's a type of seabird, I think. But Sky Seawing. And her design looks pretty good. The colors, however, probably needed some work. I drew this while we were in the car, I think, so that's why it's a little bit shaky. Byler was fun to draw. He was, I don't even know what a Byler is. I just Googled it, and I was like, I'm gonna name him that. But he looks pretty good, and I actually think he was Iceberg's brother, like older brother. But there's that. And then Shimmer, I just redrew her on one of my other videos. But this is what she looked like originally. Lots and lots of jewels and whatnot. But I didn't actually have a backstory for her. I just wanted to draw lots of jewels. So I was like, I'm going to name... Or I did have a little bit of a backstory, I guess. I wanted her to kind of be a diplomat, maybe, that was in it for the money and wanted a lot of jewels. So she is very treasure driven. And then Pinecone and Night Opal from the Jade Winglet. They grew up and fell in love, of course, because that's what I like to draw, couples. But yeah, I drew that. But the positioning on this one isn't half bad. I just don't think it was the best. Then Hemisphere and Snow Owl. They were very fun. Not exactly fun to draw, but I had a very good backstory. He is a Skywing Icewing that was abandoned, and he just hatched. And Snow Owl, or Snowy, the Ice Wing, found him and has decided to take care of him. So that was fun. And then Honeymoon. Honestly, I don't fully remember why I named her Honeymoon, but I just felt like it fit her. And I absolutely adore the colors on this dragon. She's so pretty. But yeah, she was very fun to draw. That was very pretty. And then we have Blossom and Cherry. Cherry was another one from that Jade Winglet drawing I did. And her older sister, Blossom, who may or may not have gone to Jade Mount Academy. I don't completely know what my thoughts were behind that, but a very nice sisterly bond. And I just really liked drawing two sisters. It was really fun. Sandstone. Now, Sandstone's got an interesting backstory because I had kind of imagined her as a bit of an archaeologist, kind of why she's got a relic-looking thing. Honestly, it's kind of just like almost like she was like an archaeologist digging up old things like artifacts and stuff, and kind of like looking back at Peria's history and stuff. Wave Rider was a very fun one to draw, specifically because of the positioning. She is like cartographer is what I thought, and she kind of draws maps. She likes to map the coastline, so she's kind of like a solo act kind of person. It really just goes off on her own and does her own thing. But that was fun to draw. Another sister duo is Autumn and Forsythia. Believe that's how you say it. And those two were very fun to draw. It was interesting positioning, and it was kind of cool to experiment with the different greens. Gadget, not exactly the most prominent, I guess not the most legit character, but mostly because of the wiring and very advanced kind of a backstory. Kind of, he's just like a very interesting inventor, kind of like shunned by society but doesn't really care about it. He's just gonna invent. And of course I had to draw Princess Sparrow again in a very interesting frilly outfit because that's what I like to draw her in. Very extravagant outfits. So that was one of those. Goldie again and Wingtip, the chicken that I have as a pet. I don't actually have an actual chicken that's named Wingtip, but for my character I do. So that's Wingtip and me, and my design has not changed that much, as you can see. But it has afterwards. Sunglow was very, very pretty. I absolutely love her design that I did. Very many color changing spots, but she's very pretty. I really loved how she looked with the oranges and yellows and greens, and then the blue flowers were really pretty. All right, and this one is actually of an actual couple that had a child. So there's Clove and Journey and Moth, and Journey again I think is a sibling to Flax and Bluebell. So that was another sibling thing. As you can see, the common theme here is the blue and the neon yellow. And then they had a child, Moth, which was fun to draw her. And it was some interesting positioning. My proportioning was getting better at the time, I think. And pretty good. And then Starshine is actually one of the last ones that I did. She was very interesting, almost like a singer-songwriter kind of vibes that I was getting, specifically from the star glasses that I gave her. That was on a whim, I think, that I drew that. But she's very kind of a interesting character. And then one that I never finished. I really should have finished it. Blueberry and Stella Loon, Bright Tail, and Owl Shade were the Nightwings. That was all three Nightwings. And it was mostly because I didn't want to color them in that I didn't draw them, because I didn't want to draw them after I just did that. But anyways, those are a bunch of OCs that I've drawn, and I will eventually do some redraws of those, but that was kind of just a little bit of a peek into what I used to draw like before I started going digital. And I actually know I have a picture in here somewhere of more recent drawings that I've done. Specifically a bunch of expressions. I don't know where I put them. They're in here somewhere. Here, I did a lot of expressions in a style that I'm much more proud of now. But anyways, that was kind of a peek into what I used to draw like and what I draw like now. And I would like to eventually do some tutorials, but as of right now, I am a little bit too busy to do that. But anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and sorry if I'm rambling. Again, I apologize for being congested. It's just allergies and a bunch of other things that have been going on. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I will post again soon.